hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals, they take us higher. The night's young and it's just begun as she puts her hand in mine. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be two hearts running wild. Now the morning is the afternoon. We lay awake in bed. The laughs so loud as the hours pass. We're gonna do it all again. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be, we're gonna be two hearts running wild. The moonlight, summer sky, it was the best we ever had. And we'll stay on forever. We'll never have regrets. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout.
Good afternoon, everyone. Or good morning, I should say, depending on where you are in the world. Hello, good morning, Rev. I hope we all doing well today. Well, I'm doing better, at least, than I have been. So I am progressing positively, so to say. Because yesterday was was one of those days. Good afternoon, Hella. Good afternoon. Oh, I swear. Yesterday, so it began already Monday. The weather here is shit. You can see it on me. Hey, did we miss summer? Here it's like 12 degrees or maybe 14. It's grey, it's windy sometimes, it wants to rain. It's just cold. And I'm back on 3 layers, right? Like I have a long sleeve, another long sleeve, and I have my poncho and my shawl, and I'm almost debating if I need to find gloves. I just got used to this great, wonderful weather we had at the end of April, and now it's just cold. And I had a team meeting today with my team leader, and she has the exact same. She's also like, I'm totally layered up. And I'm like, yeah, it's fucking cold, isn't it? And she's like, yep. And I'm like, mm-hmm. So, well, we are back to, I feel we missed summer, but I know it's spring, so I know summer is eventually going to be coming. Patience. Rev says, you got fooled by Fool's Spring. Yeah, you could say so. Though, that said, that wasn't what went wrong yesterday. So that began already Monday evening. Monday evening, I look at my plan and I say, oh, I'm so looking forward for tomorrow morning because I need to see my physio. Like, I desperately need a good crack and sorted and everything. And I was like, but I have to check the weather because it appears that right now it is like it wants to rain, so I need to check if I need to ask you to drop me there before you drive to work, or and then I'll walk home, or if I want to take the bike, because if it's pouring down, I'm not gonna take the bike. I'll be soaked before I'm even there. And you know, walking, I can at least have an umbrella to kind of sort of protect me against some rain, and it's not that far. And Tuesday morning it was fine, Will was fine, and I stepped up the bike and I went all the way to the physio. I was waiting maybe 2 minutes or so, and then he came out and he looked at me and he's like, "Do we have an appointment today?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm sure we do." And I went with him into the office and almost sat down, and he looked at me and said like, "No, Stine, our appointment is next week Tuesday." And I was like, "What?" Yeah, so I went all the way back home on the bike. I got morning exercise, but I didn't get my neck fixed. um, yeah, so that's kind of how my week has been going already. Can't say it's going brilliantly. Hello, Susan. Wonderful to see you. Susan is checking in, and the weather in New Jersey right now is sunny with a temperature of 18 degrees Celsius, and the wind is blowing from south-southwest at 12 miles per hour, and the current humidity is 74. Well, the weather here is obviously not much better than that. It sounds like your weather is better than mine, to be honest, but we'll see. Um, Rev says, back when I lived in Maryland, we would sometimes have as many as 14 seasons in a single week. Oh my goodness, yeah, that's definitely a possibility, right? Isn't it? And of course, Susan, how is it? How are you doing? The plans for today was, by the way, to continue my progress on the heart collectors, except I need to detangle my yarn. The weather here in Nijmegen is cloudy with a temperature of 51 degrees Fahrenheit, so 11 degrees Celsius. I told you guys it's cold. It's afternoon and it's colder here than it is at your place. The wind is blowing from north-northeast at 10 miles per hour, and the current temperature is 70. In Waco, the conditions is foggy with a temperature of 63 degrees of Fahrenheit, 17 degrees Celsius. The wind is blowing from north at 10 miles per hour, and the current temperature is 90. Well, that's, I guess, logic when it's foggy. Yeah. So I did finish the row since last time, because you guys remember we didn't finish the row last time, but I finished. Ta-ta! So I finished the row. It is looking gorgeous. It is long, 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 long. And I was thinking we're gonna see if we can throw a row on it today. And if I'll end up having, let's say, 10-15 minutes left when the row is done before we end the stream, then I still have my rib knit beanie that I'm knitting on. It has progressed. I progressed nicely on it Monday evening when watching telly. So hey, I was multitasking. And I progressed a little on it yesterday. But I don't think it will be finished. And it's like I'm halfway-ish. Just one moment. Just need to quickly count to see if I'm indeed where I remember I am. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. Indeed. So we are about to start on row 42. 42. For those curious, that's on page 20 of a 52-page pattern. There are photos, so that does help indeed on the length. So let's pop on this one and get down to the interesting stuffs, right? Oh, and I totally forgot to mention, of course, I do have tea. It's just a classic black dye-yielding tea, nothing fancy there. Chill. Helps me keep a bit warm, I guess, here in the winter. And I say winter because it feels like winter. When I'm looking outside, you could tell me it's January. The only difference is it might be a tiny bit lighter than January, but, you know, it's just grey and sad. Grey and sad. Okay, so We are on the, we did that color change just last time. So color change won't be anytime soon. Probably what will happen is that because the next color change, it goes light, so that's very clear when it happens. But we have 2 cakes we need to work in first on the same color. So it's gonna be a bit before we do the color change next time. Maybe if I have time this weekend, I could try to see if I can get that little celebration sorted. You know, I was thinking, we talked about at some stage, it could be cool to have this color change thingy appearing with a little hooray sound when it happens. But that would kind of require me to get there. Let's see. Can that work? Can probably work. Okay. No, 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 no. I'm not trying to mark anything here. So we need to turn the work around, and it is really becoming a big project. I'm like, when I'm taking photos, I can't have it all laying completely nice on the table, unless of course I need to clear a bunch of other stuff from the table. I it almost feels like it's easier to place it on the floor. And I definitely won't be able to block it in one go. I will have to split the blocking into like 2 sessions, like block one half and then block the other half. It's definitely growing. It's a visible thing. Let's see here. There we are. Just need that stitch for the 2 stacked single crochet, so I know where the last stitch is when I go all the way back. Let's see here. We need 14 double crochets, so that should be easy, I guess. I'm making progress on the silver needle tea-shawl, and I'm almost finished with the TL Yarn Crafts beanie small scarf pick, soon to be sent. Sweet! Sounds like you've been productive as well, Susan. The silver needle tea-shawl is definitely also a shawl I need to get started on, because I bought the pattern in December when it got released, but I haven't yet started on it. I know, right? So it is a pending pending project, so to say. Very much pending. When will I start on it? I don't know. If that's gonna be after this or after the other. Yeah. Choices, my friends. Lots of choices. I also need to get started on blocking a bunch of those shawls I already have laying around and get them posted. It's been way too nice just to finish a project and not completely finish taking photos and blocking and posting and sharing and saying, hey, like some of them I even did finish blocking, but I never like took pictures or put myself together to actually share a nice post on Instagram. Like, hello. Shouldn't be that difficult. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. That fits. Give me one moment. I just need to check how this piece progresses. But yes, as I suspected, this is an increase round. So 1, 2, 5, 2, 2. Yep, it's an increase round. So we need to do that 29 times, which is going to be quite some stitches. Susan also started the Carmen Heffermann's lazy crochet triangle shawl in Saubermaus's Wollstübchen pick to follow as well. We are gonna get blasted down with photos from Susan's lovely crafts, I have a feeling. I enjoy also sharing your guys' projects because, you know, honestly, it is we're all crafting together, and you know, you can talk all the way about what you're making, but visuals just often sometimes make it much, much easier. And I have the feeling we all enjoy seeing what's made. And as long as we have this very small, cozy live together where we can hang out, we can definitely keep doing that for sure. 5 plus 2 is 7. That fits. And 2. Okay. 2. I don't know if we can actually, and I think we should maybe be able to finish a row, right? Because we weren't that far off last time. Plus, there we had worked like maybe an hour almost on the beanie. So, anyhow, what I just did, I just need to do another 28 times. Ooh. Meanwhile, Rev finished the first part of Joan's Stitch Odyssey. So, give me a moment and we can pop over and have a look. Is this the one where you're just having the feeling as to the colors you're choosing? Like you're just being like, go with the flow? He's Cal, right? I think so. Looking at the first view. One, two. Looks good. A little bit dark colored, but looks good. Would it match with your couch or something like that? I don't know where your planet's going to be lingering around when it's complete. But I like the stitch definition for sure. Oh. Sometimes my chat delays a bit, so I do apologize. Meanwhile, Hel is saying she started the needlework on, so she embroiders small embroidered pieces to my cousin's youngest. She gave birth last month, I believe. And we always get like a piece with the birth date, birth weight, and the name for when they do the baptizing. So that is kind of their gift. So she is embroidering today, not exactly in that sense, knitting or crocheting, but she is embroidering. I've done that also a bit in the past, and I know how to, but it's not my biggest like forte, I would necessarily say. I guess this feels more useful somehow. Rev says I have a selection of colors, but yeah, okay. And Susan said, great, Rev, I was going to ask. Exactly, now we got to see how far he got. I only know for sure one section I will do a certain color. I want the center to be jewel tones, but we'll put in some bright colors on next. I think at least you need to be mindful it doesn't turn too dark. That would be sad. It needs to have some brighter highlights here and there, I think, personally, but that's my opinion. Reminds me I need to sit down with a color wheel at some time. I have ideas. That's a problem, by the way, me having ideas. because it usually means I'm very, very like I have itchy fingers when it comes to wanting to buy yarn right now. And I haven't. I'm still a good girl, but it's tempting. Good morning, Megan. Good morning. We are on row, did I say 42? I did. We are on row 42 out of 40 many rows. I don't, I, I'm not gonna scroll to see how many rows because I'm like 1/3 through the pattern if I'm just looking on the pages. But well, I do have a lot of yarn left, so no wondering. No wondering. Hella says the things that will be embroidered on the photo of the small embroidered child that is giving at the baptizing is birthday, weight, length, name, and she gave birth on the 30th of March. Yeah, we just weren't really told, so it was all a little bit like, yeah, pending feeling, so to say. Normally, I would say they share better, but I don't feel that it was communicated very clearly this time around. But they wanted to go for a girl. They already had 2 boys, and guess what? She got a boy. So I have a suspicion that there is no more plans of any further children because, well, obviously, the girl stayed out. Rev says, I doubt they will use the black much for the rest of the blanket, but the blue and purple may show up again. I think the purple is a very nice purple, actually. I've looked at the octopus a few times, you know, the jellyfish I made, which is sitting just over there. And I'm like, I think I'd like to make it again at some stage. Like, definitely not the last time I've made it. I did sort of enjoy the process and I really like the end result. But I have a feeling I really shouldn't like plan for it right now because obviously I have so many other things to do. What was that? Oh, mail. I guess we get more invoices. Life is expensive, my friends. Life is expensive. Pics sent. Give me just one moment and I will go and check my mail, Susan. And Rev, by the way, I think both the purple and the blue could go well together as well. Let's see what we have in my email box today. We have 3 whips by the looks of it from Susan. So let's just flip the screen over once. And let's see if I should be able to zoom this, shouldn't I? No, it doesn't want to. I feel I should be able to, but it doesn't want to zoom. Oh, I'm sorry. So I hope you're having a good enough view based on this alone. That is the silver needle tea shawl. I think this colors are still quite nice actually. It's progressing nicely. Looks like you're like probably more than half done. I think. This would be, I assume, the knitting. No, crocheting. Oh my goodness, I am blind. There's a crochet needle there. Jesus. Is that the... No, that's not... Which is this one? It's the Bernie small scarf from TL Yarn Crafts, this one? Yeah, that must be because it looks small. It's turning backwards. For me, it seems a little bit like what's it called? The Sophie scarf, but in a crochet version without the I-cord edge. And here we have then the lacy crochet triangle shawl. And here I can zoom. Why couldn't I? Like here I can zoom, but I can't zoom on the first one. Why? Why? I don't know. Interesting colors. Interesting cake. So you grab and pick a bit about what, depending on what the mood is in. If the mood is for this, you'll pick this, or what's the thought? I also have two shawls going, except one of them is kind of like temp parked, right? TL Yarncrafts and Moya Firefly. Ah, right. Trying to use up my stash. Yes. Oh, well, I guess you have seen how many cakes I have, and I haven't even gone through them all yet. So, there is something right there, you know, using up stuff. Da, 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 hint, hint. And that is where I'm like being, oh, but I could use this and I could get that, and oh my goodness, and then this, and I'm like, no, Stine, no, 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 no. Bad idea. I'm tempted to shop yarn, but I shouldn't. Right? I still have at least, and now we're just looking on the yarns in Ravelry, right? There's 10 years of yarn consumption in my stash right now, assuming that I don't use more than average. And if I do use more than average, but still 10 years. 10 years! That's a lot. And I'm not even halfway through. I'm not sure where my estimate is landing. 25, 30? I don't know. Years? Consumption? So now the next estimate would be, how old will I get? What is my expected life like? No, you can't know in the end, right? Because, you know, you don't know the expiry date, but let's assume 2, 4, 6, 7. That's actually an interesting thought. I'm thinking if we take the average life expectancy in Denmark, because I am Danish, plus the expected life expectancy of the Netherlands, because I do live in the Netherlands, and combine those and take the average. Yeah. Expectancy in Denmark is for females 83.9 years. And 83.4 years in the Netherlands. So let's just say 83.5 years ish. So 83 years, because I'm also like halfway through my current year. I'm 41, born in January. That means that I have 42 years of life crochet expectancy left. If I go over with the average. So this means that as long as my stash is below 42 years and I do have the room in the house, am I then allowed to buy yarn? What how does one calculate this? Like obviously ideally it needs to be less. The next thing is I wonder if my mom will use up her stash before she's no longer here, and if she doesn't, would that be added to mine? Likely, because I don't see my dad using it. But you should not calculate with something that's out in the future, because I hope I have my mom for at least another 20 years. 2, 4, 6, 7. It's just, these crazy thoughts. But yeah, I guess the conclusion is if there is less than 42 years of stash, then I should be able to outlive my stash, assuming I don't buy additional yarn. And of course, if my consumption increases, I'd likely probably have more than that. But it's a lot of yarn, though. It is a lot of yarn. I'm slowly starting to see the next color on the cake. But that is irrelevant, because once that happens, we are just gonna add another cake. Cut the yarn and add another cake. Susan says I don't calculate my ability to use up my stash. No? Well, clearly I do. But I'm not sure if that's necessarily a clever thing. The pink skinny scarf is only using 50 grams, so that is a very quick make, right? This scarf is using a lot. It's using like 20 some ounces, 25 ounces or so. 750 grams of yarn. Phew, it's going to be heavy when complete as well. And here now, sitting drinking my Darjeeling tea, I'm like, I should make another Darjeeling tea shawl. But I think we will have to postpone that for at least after I finish this one. Because I've already made the Darjeeling tea once. And, well, I do want to make more of her shawls. I do have a list of shawls which I haven't made yet. But the yarn is obviously in my stash. So, yes, quick make. Maybe I'll make a few and give them away. Always a good idea, right? Always good to have a few gifts on hand, I think. Um, I think I have 5 or 6 balls of the Moya Firefly. Ah. Meanwhile, Rev has used up more yarn. He's now at 69 skeins of the year. I am not. Nope, nope, nope. Not even close. Not even close. I do subconsciously expect to have the beanie finished sometime this week. And based on that, I would say that that should be another skein gone. But you know, these cakes takes forever. And that is why when I'm looking on the decrease, I'm not just looking at the amount of skeins or something I'm using, I'm taking all of things into account. And it still goes so much quicker to work with a bulkier yarn. The meters go quicker and the weight goes quicker and the skeins potentially go quicker depending on how big the skeins are. So I'm like, let's just work on an average based on it all. It's also like, you know, did I decrease weight-wise? Did I decrease length-wise? How did I decrease? Because, you know, it's not like I have a room that contains all of my yarns nicely like stacked on a shelf. I wish, but I don't. You know, I spoke for funsies with my partner about buying the neighboring house because I know there's like office room there. Like I could easily do that, but it's like we could have like an office and stuff like that. And he looked at me as like, "Do we really want that, honey?" I'm like, not right now, I guess. we we can't afford it either. But you know, he was more like, yeah, and then we'll sit in each our own office, and when we will then see each other, which is probably a bit valid. Because he would be working and I would be working, and we would sit in each of our own office, but we wouldn't really see each other. I'd Yeah, it would be nice to have one though. Like I could definitely see myself with a room with all my yarns in, and you know, I could have a nice yarn wall. But it's just not happening. No. And that's okay, I guess. That's just how it is. Well, I need to clean up a bunch of stuff to be able to do it. And yet, I don't think it would happen because the current shelves where that would be is holding a bunch of like my medals and stuff like that. And in the end, that is a big part of my life. I'm making some charity blankets for veterans right now, so using up red, white, and blue yarn. So you're ready for that. Finished one last night. We'll get a pick in a bit on shirt. I have a craft dungeon. Yeah, well, I don't, obviously. This is my dinner table. To be specific. Would I? Yeah, I definitely wouldn't complain if I had the opportunity. But I think most of the time, 2, 4, 6, 7, if I would craft, I probably also wouldn't be sitting there. It would more likely be a place to have and keep things, and not necessarily a place to do things in the same way. Susan, love to see. I'm not sure if it's the craft dungeon or if it's the projects you've finished up, but well, I guess we're all a bit curious about the dungeon. A different type of man cave. A different type, complete different type. The thing is, you know, the gifted shawl, the gifted pattern I got last week Friday, I could also use some of my twisters for it. Ta-ta! It's a joke in that I have a stack of bins with my yarn in our storage room. Okay. Well, I have a stack of boxes around the house, literally around the house, with yarn. And I am definitely trying to decrease the size or amount I have. I don't see a point in a yarn wall given I do not stream or make videos. Yeah, I think it's more to have an easy overview, you know, like as if you were in a store. That's how I would like it to be. Like, okay, let's see, and then, you know, pick the one out for the next project and stuff like that. But generally speaking, yeah, this is, I guess, also works. 2, 4, 6, 7. But if I'll ever move, it's definitely worth considering. The future place must include room for a crafty spot. I have a dog that sheds 5 times her body weight in fur every week. Oh my goodness. So I prefer not to have my yarn out unless I'm actively working it. Yeah, well, I can understand, especially if people may have allergies, right? Luckily, I have none, but we also have no pets here in this home. Guess there's that. I launder my makes before sending them out. Good plans. Good plans. So here, no house animals except for the uninvited ones. You know, spins, mosquitoes, ants, whatever might have gotten itself indoor. Beetles. And sometimes those spiders can be quite big house pets. And the thing is, I don't mind spiders until a certain size, then they do not need to be here. Like tiny ones, size of a stitch marker, I'm kinda ish fine with. But when they get to be like this size, I'm like, no, 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 no. You showed yourself, you're still there. I'm afraid you have to either get outside or die. I'm also sometimes just surprised what are they eating? But that is probably all the other uninvited house animals that I have. Non-intentional ones. On the other side, as what is said, the house is healthy because if it wasn't, you wouldn't have spiders. They only want to live in a healthy house. Does Europe have any spiders you need to be worried about? Not to my knowledge, or at least not where I live. So based on that knowledge, yeah. There is nothing either in Denmark or in the Netherlands that necessarily wants to kill me, which is not completely true because you can have allergies against some. I have a very severe allergy for hornets, which means that I do have an EpiPen, which I hope I never need to use. But reality is just that if I get stung by a hornet, and it is slowly getting hornet season, right? Or in a few weeks, it gets even worse. But they're kind of like slowly building up now. But if I get stung, I just need to take the EpiPen very, very quickly because else I will require an ambulance because I will get really, 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 really sick. But such hornets are not killer animals, right? Like, it's only if you have an allergy. We do have a viper type of snake, but it's not anywhere close as what you have. And the viper is a bit similar to a rattlesnake because I do believe they have small rattles at the end. But it is poisonous, but not like highly poisonous. Oh, I don't know who's calling. but generally nobody's calling me on that number, so I'm not gonna pick up. I'm just gonna read if we can get anything to on the poison. But you know, eagles and so on will take it as well. It is using its venom to do prey, blah blah blah. The venom is reasonably strong. Oh, interesting. So apparently this snake is more poisonous than the rattlesnakes, the American rattlesnakes, but they inject so little venom that is generally less dangerous compared to a rattlesnake, if that makes sense. So the toxicity of the venom is stronger, but it injects a lot less. Generally, they are very good at saying, "We are here." They will like hiss and rattle a little, and yeah, stay away. Generally, what it says here. For adults, the snake bite is painful if it uses its venom, but it will. But you would all. They will require you to seek a doctor as quickly as possible, and preferably within half an hour after the bite. And then you have certain risk groups like children under 12, elderly, people who's like pregnant, and people with allergies and so on. But 30% of these bites are apparently without venom, and only 10 to 15% of the bites that gets registered a year is like severe. So there is that. Let me see if I can find you guys a photo of the fella. Here we are. This would be the European version of a small snake. And the information, it's about 1 meter long. So it's not big either. Here you can see where it is in Europe. So that one we have, and apparently also here. I've never seen it in the Netherlands, but I have seen it a couple of times in Denmark, and generally you see it and you just walk along, if that makes sense. But yeah, apparently according to that, it is this more venomous. Who would have thought? Apparently the death rate after these bites is very little, and there's only very few ever registered. So generally you will survive if you get bitten, but yeah. Respect them, because they will only bite you if they see you as a danger and if you're too close. Which I guess would be the same for rattlesnakes. Why? Because a rattlesnake would also only bite if they find themselves endangered by you. Rattlesnakes are pit vipers. Yeah, it's a viper. Viper type. Black widows, brown recluse being the top two. Yeah, the black widows, we guess we all have heard about. So far, I never encountered that either. I do remember one fun story, by the way, about deathly beasts. So back in 2000 and oh, I just got a message from my neighbors that we got a neighboring daughter. Oh, what nice. I was like, it just popped on my phone. I couldn't help not seeing that. Which means sometime this week probably tomorrow or Friday, maybe Saturday, maybe this weekend would be it. I'll have to see when they have time. I can go ahead and give this one away. And as I said, I really actually enjoyed the process of this, and I really like the outcome. And I have a few things I think I'd like to do also for future versions. So I will likely have to make more of this one because I enjoyed it. Ta-ta! An estimated 7,000 to 8,000 people are bitten by venomous snakes in the US each year, with about 5 deaths, so not super likely given the population. Honestly, just leave the nope ropes alone and they won't bother you. Danger noodles just want to go about their day. Yeah, that's my point, right? Like, they will hiss at you and rattle their end, and that's the same with, I do believe, the Danish version here, the Vipera Beus. Let's see if they actually have an English name for it. But you already hear about the Latin name. It's a viper. It's just called an adder, the European adder, or European viper. Yay! There you go. The common European adder, to be more specific. And I do believe they have a rattle, a small one. Also, this viper has very small, short teeth or fangs. It's only about 5 millimeters long. If you wear shoes, have solid trousers on, and have good, strong trousers on, then it can't bite through. And generally, you get very rarely bit unless you pick it up, sit down on it, step on it in very light dressing. So I'm like, logic. That's why we don't hear much about it, but it will, yeah, it will definitely make a noise if you're too close. And it gives birth to live snakes. But I have the idea it does have a tiny, 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 tiny rattle. I love that jellyfish, especially the small tentacles. Thank you. Yeah, well, Susan, I'm also really super happy with how it turned out. Genuinely. Oh, I need to make more of this one. I need to make more. But then I need to get some more yarn. I do have some in my stash, but I don't know how much I have and what color combinations and if they would work out and so on. So maybe at some stage when I need something, it could be that I order a bit extra to fill up and then make a little production or something like that. I calculated the production cost of this one, and I think with everything, we're not looking at hourly time rates and so on. It's probably like a couple of euros. So if we're looking at the hours I put into it, it's very expensive though. Especially if I'm having to pay myself the hourly salary I get from my boss. Yep, nope, 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 that's not happening. But I could definitely see myself making more of them. I should make a blue one. Rev said I did a fantastic job. Thank you, Rev. Thank you. I'd like to attempt one in chenille at some stage too. Please don't get mad if I buy yarn. But I am trying to wait with yarn purchases until I have finished sorting my current stash and stocking it on Ravelry. I should really try not to get anything additional until then. So it is a future project for a future me. Yeah, the color just definitely worked out nicely. And Rev, I was literally just looking at being like, okay, I have this and I know it's a scrap and I don't have any other plans or ideas for this scrap. And I'm just so happy that I managed to have enough. I'll actually show you what's left on that of that yarn. So it was, in that sense, it was absolutely perfect. This is my scraps. Like, look how much yarn I have left. So that's my new cotton 8/8 scraps for future scrap projects. It's gonna go into this zipper bag. I just wound them up as small, but as you can see, they're very small. What's left? It's probably like 5 grams each or something like that. So it was a perfect scrap project as well, because I used up technically all of those skeins because there's so little left there. I won't call it not used, but there is enough left to make a future scrap project. And I told you guys I am going to collect this yarn to make a future like scrap bag or something like that. Not bag or basket, scrap basket. I really like those scrap baskets in cotton. And I think this would be just fine for it. I was hiking the Gettysburg National Park about 15 years or so ago. On the trail, there was a baby rattle. It was not happy seeing us, but we left it the fuck alone. It was young enough not to have a rattle, but it went into the S pose and did a couple of display strikes. We never got within 5 feet of it. Well, it is definitely clever to leave those alone, no matter the size. And yeah, I guess it's also just about respecting, because if you aren't its prey or it's not your prey, or so to say, then why can't we all live in peace and harmony and, keep a respectful distance? Everybody is safe and sound then. Two, four, six, seven. I think that is yeah. I think that's a good idea, good plan for them. Saying, "Hey, I can probably at some stage get yarn, but I definitely should not get anything before I finish sorting my stash and see how many years do I have to go." Mm-mm. Do, 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 do. So Friday we are here with a yarn talk video. And Monday it's a new sort my stash. We are gonna dive into some of my hand-dyed hanks. And then of course Wednesday will be live again. And if everything goes well, also Friday. I am, though, next week also covering for a colleague of mine, so I do have extra work, kind of like this week. I had a few extra days. So my colleague were like, Stina, any chance you may or anyone can help cover for me? Because apparently I need to have some vacation days before July. So he's in the same situation as I am, not using up his days in time. And then you're told you need to take them before July or they will expire, basically. So they are from last year. Though I had the idea that he did have some vacation last year, but maybe it's like, I don't know if he's like keeping postponing, because I've also this year used days from last year. So technically, I haven't used any of my actual days until July. Like anything here before July where I've been off work has all been days from last year that I took with me, which is kind of crazy, right? And by the looks, it's going to be the same next year, keeping up this pace, because I'm not really good at taking my vacation. But also, I'm like, if I'm home, I don't necessarily need vacation, because just to have vacation, just to have it, seems weird. If that makes sense. But yeah, hey, 27.5 years of work still to go. Wow. hopefully, hopefully everything is sorted much better before then. That would be the ultimate life goal. Good morning, Lisa. How are you doing, my lady? I came to think that I also have solids of other, like both 8/8 cut, like not 8/8 cottons, like 4/8s and of the twisters that I could also use for the shawl pattern you gifted me Friday. Lisa's feeling great. Meanwhile, we get the photo of the veteran's blanket that Rev made and finished last night, and it is definitely very patriotic colors. I think I have a feeling you were working on this Monday also, while waiting for Juan's release of his first section of the gal. And meanwhile, by the way, Lisa, we are working on row 42 of this Heart Collector's shawl. Rose says I typically don't do these colors, but I like Charity. Yeah, okay. I think they're nice still though. These days it would work nicely. Meanwhile, Rose says I started a different one in a different pattern. And Susan says those granny stitch square blankets work up fast. Yeah, I can imagine. Maybe I just need to make granny stitches of all of my yarn. Nah, that would be boring, wouldn't it? Meanwhile, Lisa says I am at 160 rows in on my muscle bro hat. Oh my goodness. 160. I had just worked on that exclusively. I think I would have been just over a day for a 40 by 40 inch. Oh, I do apologize. Oh yeah, and Lisa, it is back to being sort of wintry feeling because it's cold. It's like 11 degrees here and grey and just ugh. Rose says, I thought you were saying muscle bro hat. It was some kind of a gym wear hat. I do believe it's called muscle bro. Muscle bro. Jesus. It's a difficult pronunciation. Lisa says the weather is yucky here too. Okay. Yeah, here it's just like grey and cloudy and 70 degrees humidity and 11 degrees and just chill. Ugh. The weather in Winkler right now is cloudy with a temperature of 35 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 2 degrees Celsius. The wind is blowing from west-northwest at 8 miles per hour and the humidity is 68. Yeah, that sounds like yucky. Ugh. Yuckier than here. I hope it gets a bit warmer for you guys today. I know it's still early there, so there's hopes. Here it's not going to get much warmer. Here it's just going to keep staying yuck. It should get a little bit warmer during the week, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, tomorrow it's going to be warmer and somewhat sunny. Same as, like, it's getting better. And then Monday next week, we're back to this shitty, chilly, freshy weather. Ugh. I don't know what to think about it. 2, 4, 6, 7. English has a lot of phenotypes that's difficult for non-native speakers. Lisa also said it gets better for the weekend. Lisa, are we in the same country? At least it's nice then it's then weekend when it gets better, right? English can have multiple consonants in a row, which messes up Spanish speakers, for instance. Danish can also sometimes be a very tricky language. But it's also important to know specific names. I'm going to see if I can find the name even. So I did announcing back in Luxembourg back in December for the finals. I was asked if I could do that for them, and I was like, yeah, sure, I can do that. And I'm trying to remember, he was, I think, a pistol shooter. No? Yeah. And his surname, he was from Czech Republic, and his surname was spelled Cunchik. D-A. And if I was thinking Danish, often like there's two options for a C in Danish. It's either sounding like a K or like an S. So it would either be Kunda or Sunda. And it was definitely neither. And I was checking with like a group of Czech ladies sitting, just quickly saying, how do I pronounce it? And I'm trying even to remember how to pronounce it. But in any ways, apparently, the first suggestion I provided them, they started laughing hilariously. Because apparently that was the Czech slang for pussy. Ah, poor guy. Like, that would have been really bad if I'd presented him like that. So that is why you always, if you're not sure, ask how specific names are pronounced. And I think it ended up being like Tsunda, something like that, and not Kunda or Sunda. Like with a T set kind of sound. But that was really bad if I would not have like asked beforehand. That would not have been very fun for him. So that was a little fun fact for you guys. So Danish pronunciations is not also always working with other languages. Yesterday morning, I had about a dozen of ducks in my pond, 3 different types. Oh, that's nice. Rev says, funnily enough, the name Jose is very difficult for native English speakers as the phonemic breaks English phenotype rules and not just sound like they exist in English. Yeah, I would also say Jose, but it is Jose, if I'm not wrong. That's like most native speakers pronounce it as Jose, which is not correct for either syllable. Oh my goodness, then I'm wrong as well, I guess. It's just not supposed to be easy. 2, 4, 6, 7. Da, da, da. 2, yeah, 7, 7, 7. We are getting closer. So we just have like 3.5 repeats left of the 29. As I said, it takes forever. It's not an H sound, but more like of a guttural cho, the first syllable, and the second one is not a sound we have in English. Chose. Yeah. If I'm in doubt, I always just ask when I've been doing presentations. And yeah, it's just because I know a lot of people can't pronounce my name or they can't spell my name based on how I pronounce it. Because I'm used to a lot of Americans or English native speakers wants to call me Stein. And that is the German word for stone and not the Danish word for Stine, which is a part of Christine. But I'm not named Christine, I'm just named Stine. But technically it is an aberration from Christine. which comes from Christian, which is also our first name in Danish, as well as Christine, by the way. Kind of back throat, almost coughing, hard K. It's like a chill and an A. It's like a chill and a J sound together. Chaser? No, I can't. It's easier when you hear people like physically pronouncing stuff. So then conclusion is just it's not easy, right? Languages are also very different. Da, 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 da. Lisa says, I wouldn't say I'm fluent in Spanish, but I can get by. Spanish has a lot of different sounds for native English speakers. Yeah, Spanish and English is definitely not alike. There are some languages that's somewhat more similar, obviously. But there are also languages that's so vastly different. If you speak some languages, there are other languages you make a great chance of understanding. The majority of. I speak 4 languages as an example, and I understand 6. Plus a few words from a few other languages, but a few words is barely a conversation or something more in depth. Here's a cool video on Jose. Watch it later. Can definitely do. It's like some of the Irish names, right? Or Scottish for that matter. There are some names that's just challenge to pronounce, but if you know how to pronounce them, they don't even include half the syllables. There's a great video on that as well. Don't remember where it is, but you know, going through diverse, like you know, you see the names spelled, but it's not how they're pronounced. And a person I know, it's a bit broad to say it's a friend. If we're at a competition somewhere, we would like to speak. But it's not like we keep contact in between. Her name is spelled Seonaid, which for me would be pronounced Seonaid, but that's not how she's pronounced. She's pronounced Shona. Just saying. Another example of crazy name differences. The double L sound in Spanish used to stump me, but I got it now. An acquaintance. Yes. An acquaintance of mine. Correct. That is a good word. Why did not pop into my head when I was explaining? I don't know. It's because it's a word I don't use very often. But yes, an acquaintance of mine. Her name is Shona. But if I would pronounce it as how I would in Danish, based on how it's spelled, I would call her Sunate. And I think a lot of people subconsciously would want to do that, exactly due to the exact same reason. Okay, we've finished our 29 repeats. That means it's time to look at the pattern, my friends. Skip 3, blah, 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 3 times. Yes, that is what I know. So, okay, that keeps the same. I like when it's somewhat predictable. The double L sounds more like a Y, but not exactly. I would not have thought that. I would not have thought that. Don't forget to hydrate, my friends. I will hydrate when I have finished the next few stitches, because then I need to just quickly double check before continuing. We are very close to being at the tip, which, looking on the time, we might just about be able to squeeze in this whole row in this stream, which is crazy, right? I'm spending 3 hours on a freaking row. Do I want to actually even time how long time this takes? I am not too positive. Oh, okay, that is also an increase thingy. 7, 9, 7. Okay, let's see. 2, 4, 6, 7, 2. Okay, I can do that. Spanish is much stricter about vowel consonant ratios. English is, yeah, give me those consonants even, and I will even pronounce a few of them. It sounds like Danish. We have like lots of words in Danish that's mute or letters that's mute, but we just slash them on. Like very classic would be hvem, hvad, hvor, which is who, where, what, or who, what, where. We have an H in front of the V, but we're not pronounced. It's just how it is. 2, 4, 6, 7 plus 2. Don't ask me why. It's just how it is. English is just cheating at Scrabble. I guess Danish too then. But Spanish is very easy to read. It's very phonetic. Okay. Spanish is not amongst the languages that I think I can stick to un, dos, tres, cuatros, gracia. That's kind of like my Spanish levels. so far, it's still going good. Don't forget to hydrate. Just need to learn the phonetics of Spanish. I'm also out of practice in Spanish. When was I in Spain last time? 2014? Talk about being out of practice. Would I mind to go back? No. I'd be fine in Spain. I'm going to go back in a couple of years to visit a second time Sagrada de Familia. We were there in 2009. So like 2029 might work. But I want to see the really like finished version. And yeah, when we get there, I like talk with my partner about it, and we'll probably just do like a 2-3 day city trip because we have been to Barcelona before. But we would both like to see the finished final version of Sagrada de Familia. Spain Spanish is weird for me. It is very different than Mexican. Yeah, but I think you can compare. We could go into English. English is also very different depending on where you are. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 plus 2 fits. Because the UK and US English is different, and as well is, for example, Aussie and Kiwi English, also very different. A lot of it is similar, yes. But bottom line is, it is still quite different. Because if I, as a Brit, would say something along the line, I'm pissed and I need a fag, that would translate very poorly into American English, right? In UK English, it means something along the lines, I'm drunk and I need a smoke. But in American English, it needs to make something along the line as I am upset and I need a gay, which makes no freaking sense. When we visited New Zealand a couple of years ago, we were there and one of the hosts were asking us if we wanted to go grab an ice block. And I was like, ice block? Because of the context, I figured out she was talking about an ice cream. But an ice cream on a stick is called an ice block in New Zealand. And that, my friends, is not what I would consider an ice block. I would think of an ice block more like an ice cube. Right? So. Megan says they still have 4 towers to build, so it's not done yet. I know, that's why we are not going yet. But they should be done sometime in my lifetime. In the next couple of years. But they are getting closer, a lot closer than they were in 2009, that's for sure. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I used to work with this grandmother from Colombia that was convinced I spoke way more Spanish than I did. I knew how to ask her for any dish on the menu, but had no idea how to have a conversation. Maria was maybe the hardest working person I've ever met. She was in her 60s and holding down 3 jobs. I think coming from a hash background, people are less afraid of working than people who's grown up in more fortunate circumstances. Not always the case, but it kind of depends on what's put forth, if that makes sense, to the child / children. Meanwhile, I have to say that I did stumble upon a vacation last weekend where I was like, yeah, sure. In 1.5 months' time, except I didn't get it because I'm like, that's expensive. But it's not that expensive. It was like, was it 18 or 21 days round tour of South Africa, including Kruger Park and everything, for just €2,500 per person. I was like, yeah. But then I was like, yeah, maybe not, because reality is also a little bit. It's not a month where we have much time to just pick up stuff and leave. But I definitely want to visit Africa at some time. That is in my goal or slash to-do list of doing. Lisa says, I think what threw me off was that in Barcelona they speak Catalan, which isn't hardly Spanish, it's more like Portuguese. Yeah, Catalan is definitely a different language. Catalonia. And I do believe even the Catalan people kind of want to be not Spanish to some extent. They want to be their own little nation. If that's realistic is another story. By the way, meanwhile, look. You can see the color change, except it means that we are gonna have a new cake then. Because when it changes into this lighter, brighter, then I need a new cake. We don't do the color change just yet. We need to another 2 cakes. Patience is a virtue. But we can almost feel the color change, except it's not going to happen today because, well, we will change cake today, but we won't have a color change. It takes too long between the color changes when you're working with 3 cakes after one another. Yeah, so I'd definitely like to go back to Barcelona at some stage. I also still want to visit Rome at some stage. Napoli, maybe even. Been to Milan, could definitely go back to Milan, but it's not a necessity. I'd like to visit Athens at some stage, but that's more because I'd absolutely love to see Acropolis and all the things there. Also want to see the pyramids, so I'd like to go to Egypt at some stage, but definitely not during the current situation. I do have a subconscious goal. I'd love to see New Zealand in 2029. In Perth, there is a competition I'd love to see if I could manage to get my foot into at competing. But if I go that direction, there is a few things that I need to get sorted, for sure, because else it's just not happening. Dun, 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 dun. I think I'm going to run out of yarn on this hat. I might have to pull out some leftover black sock yarn. It is a good thing it is a double layer hat that I could put the whoopsie inside. True. Let's look at the positive side of things. Of course, I'd also like to do like a Canada trip at some stage and, There's a few things in the States I'd like to visit, but not as long as the yellow-haired guy is in charge. The current VIP. We will have a look. Popping over, we have a very, very clear native inspired or native national inspired upcoming. Not only Granny Squares from what I can see. Do. Do not forget to hydrate. I'm realizing we are having our own little craft cafe here. This is the Nana Tunes A Blessing, a Blanket. Okay. Ref, have you ever considered mosaic crochet just for a challenge change? Ref is in his patriotic era. I believe it's because they're all for donations. Block stitch, cross doubles, then 2 doubles. Ah, okay. And he's doing a charity drive for veterans. Not in his patriotic phase, no. Well, who would be currently? Situation sucks. 2, 4, 6, 7. I mean, I should probably check the news, but I'm not even sure if I'm in the mood to read about it. Rev is appalled at the conduct of his country over the last 30 years, to be frank. I don't know if it's necessarily 30 years, but the last couple of years has seen better. I'd say. Da, 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 da. There has been a lot of issues. It's worse now than ever, obviously. Valid. Lisa says, I'm appalled of my own country too. We aren't screwing over the rest of the world, just our own country. Yeah, that's no good either, right? I think there's just lots of things going on right now, and a challenge is that the extremists do get lots of room to speak. People elect, like the elections generally, and I think it doesn't really matter where you are in the world, but they do seem to turn more and more extreme. There is like less and less touch with the core. There will always be a few extremists between, but I feel that they have gotten more room to speak and do crazy things over the past 20 years. Yeah, the problem with picking a center right banker to run things as opposed to a fair far right knot job is the center right is gonna center right. Not that you had a lot of options really. Yeah. That's the next challenge, right? What are the options? So I guess I don't know how it works in Canada, but both in the Netherlands and in Denmark, there's lots of different parties, and I guess that's also where the Americas get a bit stuck because it's just either Democrats or Republicans. You don't really have a bunch of in between stuff, and if you do have in between stuff, they apparently don't have enough scream right to be able to run on equal terms. Where here there's a lot much more possibility of having lots of mixtures ever in between. It's not just left, right, or center in Denmark or in the Netherlands for that matter. It is anything in between. There's lots of options also in between. I wouldn't tell Kanye center right. He calls himself that, but he's a leftist. Ah. What I do know is that apparently Denmark and Canada seems to be much more on equal terms currently than they have been in the past due to Mr. Trump because of Greenland and everything else, right? Like technically Denmark and Canada are neighbors through Greenland, even though Greenland is Danish and yet Greenland is Greenland, so to speak. I think it's just a livid idea that you can purchase land from different countries like that. But, looking back, it is happened before the US have bought lots of territory. Alaska is bought from Russia, right? The Virgin Islands was usually priorly the Danish Virgin Islands. Except they were named something else. They were called the Danish West Indies. But they were originally Danish, and you can see it on the names if you visit the Virgin Islands on the cities. It was the very short period where we attempted to be a colonial power, and yeah, it is part of our history that we're not necessarily proud of. And we sold the Danish West Indies to the US back in I don't know when, just around First World War. 1918 maybe? Or just after? 1912? I could go ahead and find it, but for the fortune back then of 20 million USD. There is that in the US, just that they're all under two-party systems, so both parties have a lot of competing voices, or they used to far right dominated the Republicans. Aha, right. It's just because we only see the two main ones. Something is up here with my yarn. It wants to tangle because I do not believe that they have made this ugly yarn knot, so I think we are tangling. I'm just gonna grab my needle. Because it is requiring a little bit more of an untangle. Ta-ta! Detangled. We are though almost at a place where we need scissors. And probably also at a place where I should have a very short break as well. Because I do feel that I will need to use the little house. But as I said, look here. I don't know if it's even visible. It is just about visible in the corner. Oh, one more. Ta-ta! It's right there. You see? Go slider. So we are cutting the end. Then we'll have to pick up the next cake as well, which would likely be this one because I have two in here, so they should have the same dialog number. Look, that's a difference now. This one is lighter, as you can see, because it has light coloring. So this one goes in the box. This one gets prepped. Put it on the wheel. So what we are gonna do is that I am very shortly gonna say we'll be right back in, let's say, 2 minutes at best. I just need to have a short break and then, yep, I'll be here. Let's see just quickly. The mud race got blown out twice against Obama, and the Republicans had two choices: change their stance and come into the first century, or burn everything to the ground. Well, apparently they're choosing the burning everything to the ground option. It kind of feels like it. Lisa says, I'll be honest, my own politics, right wing, not anywhere close to the far right. I think there are not jobs. There is nothing about Kanye that is right wing. I'm probably also more right than left in any case, but not extreme. I'm probably like center to center right, I guess. Anyhow, as I said, I'll be right back in probably maybe 2 minutes. So go grab something to drink if you're short, and I'll see you in a few.
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals, they take us higher. The night's young, it has just begun as she puts her hand in mine. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be two hearts running wild.
I am back with you guys. Oh, wow. So, that was nice. I had a feeling it might happen. I'm trying to drink a little bit extra generally during the day. And that, of course, at some point will require you to use something. But yeah, so what I really like about Denmark is the covered healthcare based on the fact that you pay your taxes, you will be covered. So if you break an arm, you go to the hospital, it gets fixed. If you get sick with whatever, you need a kidney replacement, you will go on a waiting list until there is a kidney available and you will get a kidney replacement. And you do not need to worry if you're covered by your insurance because the Danish government will cover you based on the fact that you pay your tax. They are not going to look at, okay, how much tax do you pay? How big is your income or whatnot? It's the same for everybody. Everybody helps everybody because just because you earn a lot of money, does not necessarily mean that you're a lot healthier than people earning less money. So this is sort of a social security net, which I really like. In the Netherlands, you have to have a health insurance, which costs a fortune. I do pay a bit less tax though, so I guess you can look at through that. Or there is sort of tax brackets, which generally makes you pay a bit less tax. But overall speaking, I kind of like the fact that there is less bills, it feels like, to worry about because it's taken through your tax already, so you don't really see it. And it's the same for everyone, which I kind of like. I am, that said, so that's probably the more like socialist part of me, the more left side part of me. I'd like to see dentists also being fully covered by this system. But then at the same time, I very much disagree with that if you have earned an amount of money and you have paid the tax of them, so salary or whatnot, you have paid your taxes, you should not have to pay a tax based on the wealth, based on any estimated presumable income based on whatever wealth you may have. Or if you have invested in stocks, you should not need to pay some crazy high tax rate on whatever income based on either selling stocks or getting a dividend income. That said, in the Netherlands, I will not pay dividend tax, so that is interesting investment-wise to have dividend stocks, but I do have to pay a tax based on my general wealth. So assuming I have, I don't know, X amount of money, even if it's invested in stocks or not, and then based on that, they will assume a certain percentage of return of my investment, and based on that, I will have to pay a tax. Which I disagree about because I'm like, I've earned the money once, I've paid the tax once, why would I have to pay tax twice? Then I'd rather just pay, let's say instead of paying an estimated, I'd rather pay a tax for the dividend or for only when I sell, but not based on what I currently own, if that makes like of realized profits. That I would be fine with. But this assumed profits, I think is a bullshit story. And that would be the right side of me. I guess I can't have it all, right? There are benefits and disadvantages to it all. So yeah, that's kind of how we are here. Rev says I'm left of Lenin and mildly anti-Authorian of the fourth grid quadrant. Well, as long as I know, Lenin isn't really there anymore. So I am, that said, this very in favor of health insurances and stuff like that paid straight through your taxes, flat rate. So assume 5% of your salary gets earmarked for health tax, and that's it. But you never have to worry about having a social security or insurance that ensures that your hospital stay is paid, no matter what sort of illness you have. Lisa says, my daughter described me as a slightly left-leaning right-winger. Rev says, I tend to identify most strongly with social progressives. I once made a personality test, and that also had a few interesting conclusions based on my personality. I wonder if it's still to be found. 2, 4, 6, 7. I should be able to find it somewhere. But I do agree with how it was. I don't know if I can find it. We'll have to see. We are soon to change Sean, though. Yoo-hoo. Meanwhile, I got news on stocks. Yoo-hoo. But that's not important right now. Your test results and more. I did it back in... I was supposed to do it for work back then. I am a so-called protagonist. Oops, this page doesn't exist. Oh, that's not true. And that would be the A person. Well, it's actually quite fun, though. The ENFJ protagonist type is a personality type with extroverted, intuitive feeling and judging traits. These warm, forthright types love helping others. That's true. We're here. Tend to have strong ideas and values. Definitely true. And have that back perspective with creative energy to achieve their goals. Yep, fits. But I think it was a quite fun, but I can't seem to get back in. Apparently, the protagonists that you may know of include Barack Obama, Oprah Winfrey, John Cusack, and Ben Affleck. Jennifer Lawrence, Sean Connery, and more. Fun. Fun, fun, fun. It's worth a test at some stage. Funnily enough, the Australian Green Party is maybe the closest match for my political leanings. Lisa says, what I want is to live in the middle of nowhere in a bush, do what I want on my own land, pay a reasonable amount of tax to be left alone. That seems fair. Right? That seems fair enough. Meanwhile, Rev says he imagines that you guys would agree on many points. Rev is a fan of the government leaving people alone for the most part. Exactly. As long as they do pay their tax. Yeah. But you still have the extreme people here and there. You know what we do agree on? It's your yarn. You do whatever you want. Oops, that's true. But I hope that goes for everyone here. Myers-Briggs is just horoscope with scientific sounding words. The woman that came up with it just made shit up and left it right. Shit up left and right. Well, horoscopes always tend to match most people, so but yeah, it was actually a quite fun test back in the days. I found it rather interesting. And I still think it fits to some extent today, with how I am as a person and what I do. So, my guys, we are, as you can see, very close to the end here. So we'll probably need to add another yarn, another cake. We'll add another cake to 2. Let's see, how much do we need? Probably like need enough to weave in ends without it being too iffy. And then we'll leave you behind as well. Do, 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 do. We are gonna make a little bow tie. Just to help keep it in place until we get a bit closer to weaving in ends. Because as you know, we are gonna wait a bit before we do that. 2, 4, 6, 7. Because I would utterly hate to have to frog and then the ends will be woven in, because I can't undo that very easily. I've learned by my mistakes over the years. But yeah, the big question is if we can reach to get to the end of this row before the end of the stream. We will try. We will try. But I am not 100% positive. Speaking of ends changing color every 2 rounds in a 3-color mix means so many ends to weave in. Yes, it does, sir. That means a ton of ends to weave in. I feel your pain. Me, you know, by every 3 cakes, so to say, I can like skip one end weaving in. Always already feels great, subconsciously speaking. But it still gives me lots of ends to weave in with 3 cakes. not just going it from like one cake in, one cake out, because that will be the quick, easy solution, right? No, 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 no. Lisa is not jealous. I don't think any of us are jealous of people weaving in ends. That was what I really loved about this jellyfish, by the way. So all the ends of these, so these are just basically their chains, right? It's just a chain. This is the slip knot I started with. I chained, and then I have an end at the end with a bit extra, cut the yarn, etc. And these, again, a chain where you single crochet back with 2 stitches in each row, even though 2 of them are different. This one is 2 single crochets, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, etc. A bit alternating. But when I had to just punch them into this bottom, and then on the other side in here, so what's inside now, I just took the ends, whoop, and made a knot, a solid knot, so they stay. That's it. Like technically, I just had to yarn the needle, punch them through, punch another one through, tie the knots. It was awesome. So it looks like a lot of ends to weave in, but the tentacles is very little weaving in comparison. That was really, so the only really end weaving was basically the bottom plate here had a single end to weave in, and also this thingy around left the yarn which I had to weave in, and that was it. So there's only 2 ends to weave in, and of course I had to embroider eyes and the blush, but that's very little, right? That was very little comparison. So this wasn't bad for the needlework at all. Maybe that's why I'm also being open for doing more of them. I'm counting my stitches and weaving in before trying on the next color. Weaving in 2 ends at a time is not bad. It takes less than a minute. That's true. And the rounds increase, so it will feel like less because there's longer between if you keep them up. That's also why I generally try to weave my ends in on the fleur, so I didn't have to do it all in the end. Here I do a couple of rows more before I weave in ends to make sure I don't have mistakes and have to frog. As soon as I know for sure I don't have to frog, I will weave in the ends. So here I have an end, but that will probably first, it'll be another 2 or 3 rows before I will weave in this one. But I have another somewhere. Not on this side, it's on the other side. And I will probably get to a point where when we go back, it's close to being time for weaving in that one. So I pop into them as I go, 1 or 2, 3 or 4 rows back, then I'll weave them in before continuing. So it does feel like less of a hassle because they are spread out more, if that makes sense. I have a long list, and being neurospicy lists consumes me till it's done. Yeah. I guess that's where I'm like, oh, I could go ahead and get some yarn and, you know, make some more of those jellyfishies. But genuinely speaking, I should not. No, 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 no. I did skip the tiny embroidered part on top of the head though. But I do want to add maybe a smiley mouth or something like that for a future jelly. And then I'm like looking, what do I have in my stash and what could I use and what could potentially work together? And I really, no, I chill, Stina, chill. I have so many other things I need to do first. I have to say, making this chain tentacles was easy. That was a nice project Saturday evening. I also picked up one of the blankets I want to make for my coming grandbaby, and that will not be a quick make. I want to make Sophie's Dream. I have heard that before. Isn't that one of them? Oh, what is they called? The makes from. I'm trying to remember the name. Sunshine? Hooked Up Sunshine? No, it's not. Oh, by Detri. That's gorgeous. Whew. But that's a big blanket. Good luck. Let me share for you guys because of course you are curious. Sophie's Dream. Apparently it is a free pattern, according to this. It's made in Schreepjes World, different colorations, but still, it's gorge. But you're just making all of these squares, and then you'll basically sew them together. It's like, what, 4 cakes? Yeah, 4 cakes. And you'll sew them together. It's a lot of work, though. But it is pretty. Did not know it was free. I will pop it in here. I will pop it in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's going to be gorgeous too. But that is definitely not going to be a quick make. But you're also cranking out makes as I don't know what, Lisa. Though, as you say, here it's summer, you're probably going to be crafting less and being more outside. I guess it's good then that I'm online in the morning for you. You can still reach to craft together before you pop out in the garden. Ta-ta. I made everybody things last year, so I'll probably not do so this year. I have no plans of Christmas makes as such. Nope. I don't. I guess a part of it is also the fact that I know that I'm not going home for Christmas, unless something crazy happens. There's always options to change plans, of course, but generally it is the year where we stay in the Netherlands, which means that I'm probably just gonna work and have some good food, and that's it. Yay! And maybe my mom-in-law would appreciate it, but my partner won't appreciate something made of yarn. It's just not his style and type. Unless maybe I'll make that should be something I could consider. I need to. Have you seen the coasters where they will kind of like fold up if when you place a cup on it, and they also come with scratch from Ice Age. That he might appreciate. A coaster with scratch from Ice Age. But then we are kind of back to me figuring out where to grab the pattern and stuff like that. But else I don't see him being super appreciative. He did see my little jellyfish. I'm not going to make it full size these days. Well, I guess it's also a bit big then for a baby, but it's cute. Lisa gave out bowel cozies to everyone last year. I don't think I'm going to do a mass make this year either. My list mostly just for my kids, but it's all sock yarn items. Guess you don't always need to have something prepped and made either. That's just a lot. Everything given, right? Dun, 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 dun. Three by three. Yeah, that might work. If you have three cakes of the same color, you could also easily like do those alternating, like in the rows. That could maybe also even work out nicely. Rose says, "Oh, you're probably using the macroscopic yarn that you favor." Probably. Well, I'm sitting here in macroscopic yarn too right now, right? Sorta ish. And you did see the cotton yarn that I was tempted on getting, where I meanwhile concluded that I also have other options in my stash which I could use and should probably use. But I'm still tempted to get yarn. Very tempted to get yarn. But I am withholding to my best efforts. The pattern calls for the unpronounceable yarn. Ah, yeah, it calls for scheepjes. Scheepjes. Scheepjes is a Dutch brand, so I should be able to sort of pronounce it. It has an R in it. It's not scheepjes, but scheepjes, because it's an R, and it's a little bit like saying Scheveningen, which is a beach in the Netherlands, a very popular beach, by the way. So it's like scheepjes, and I think it partially comes from schaap. But in schaap is a lamb or a sheep. So it's like semi-diverted from the word sheep. 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 7. So there's that. Susan says, Dina, I give you lots of credit for crocheting on a live stream. I need to concentrate on my work, only especially on complex stitch combinations where counts must be perfect. Yeah, there are some patterns I'm less inclined to work as well on a stream. I will admit that. This one is, so far it's actually pretty simple. So once you get it, it's easy. But I have to say there are definitely some patterns where I've spent more time reading than actually crocheting, it feels like. Maybe not completely the case. I wonder what happened there in my light. It went flickery. But thank you so much for your credits. They are much appreciated. It's I guess it's just about getting used to it. But of course it also leaves an opening for potential mistakes, of course, if you don't pay attention. That is also why I sometimes intentionally just say, hey, I need to catch up for a minute. Yeah, one of the ladies that got Juan's Zoom calls loves that Jan, and her and Juan always laugh about how to say that name. Oops, forgot to like the stream. Fixed. You didn't like it? Oh no! Ladies and gentlemen, you really should like it. I see that we do have a couple of viewers in here and we don't have as many likes as we have viewers. Just saying. Don't forget to like. Like. Lisa says, however, I think once we find out the gender of the baby, I may either make it from Yarnart flowers, alpaca, or Stanley merino cakes. My grandbabies get bushy blankets from this Mimo. Yeah, well, it is also very valid to be proud. 2, 4, 6, 7. I'm sort of waiting now for to see if the neighbors will get a post in the garden. So we have these signs in the garden indicating, oh, they got a girl and a name usually, so you know that's a newborn. But that's often quite family that's sorting that. We haven't been busy doing anything for them because I wouldn't know. I don't know them well enough to sort of handle that, if that makes sense. So. Meanwhile, Susan says, I finished the pink skinny scarf, having to count precisely to put increases and decreases in the correct row. Well done. Awesome for finishing it. Applause. Everybody's happy for Susan. But yeah, we are just getting to a point where I cannot reach to finish a row on this shawl in a stream. That's the size we are at. Of course, during the stream we also look at other things, but still, I mean, that's insane. It's not that far yet. So this should be possible, but still. Once done, I don't know. We'll see. Keep cranking it on. Susan says, thank you. It was very fast. I made it in about 3 hours with less than 50-gram 3-weight yarn. Well, that is the thing, huh? 50 grams is nothing. But indeed very fast. So Susan cleared up 1 skein from her stash, equaling 50 grams or 1.75 ounces. Congratulations, the stash has officially become a tiny bit smaller. And indeed, Lisa finished the first part of Fion's spring call, spring crochet along. He showed it at the beginning of the stream, so we looked at it by then, before you joined us. Indeed, Susan, 50 gram gone. Woohoo! I can also say that officially, my stash has decreased for 2026 so far, comparing it to the 1st of January. So I am positive. The real question is, how much yarn will I get tempted to buy, and how much will I then, in the end, have decreased? But we do not know yet. The downside of those amigurumis, they are kind of slow makes compared to this, or a crochet bucket hat, or a bag, or whatever. Susan says, excellent, Stina. Keep shopping your stash. I am, girl. I am. But I am also tempted to get a few things. Next time it's on sale. Or maybe a little bit further out in the future. I have been insanely tempted this week. But I have resisted. And as we spoke about a bit earlier in the stream, I want to make sure I have everything stashed from my Ravelry. All my yarn stashed on Ravelry, and then we can discuss adding, removing. Unless something crazy happens, right? Let's assume that another neighbor suddenly is pregnant and they will get whatever, and I need to make another, or then it's okay to buy yarn. But unless it's something very important, I will try to survive on my stash only. And honestly, this one I based on my stash, so it is possible. It's practically possible. Well, they are only slow because you are not practiced in them. I bet if you made as many jellyfish as you have bucket hats, you would be quick. I would probably be quicker, but I do feel that because this is on a tinier hook, it's on a small hook, compared to what I use with the bucket hats. I need to be more focused on placing the stitches and so on. And this I also feel hurts fingers more. Maybe it would be different in chenille yarns. I do have chenille yarns, but I do not have the right colored chenille yarns to make um, a combination that would kind of work for a jellyfish. So I would need to get a couple of skeins of yarn if I were to test it in chenille. Oh my goodness. What a disaster. But I would likely work it up quicker in chenille because that is less hard on my fingers as well. I was kind of happy that I broke it up into multiple makes, so to say, like into a couple of days, so my hands got time to rest. Reject the yarn devil. Oh, the devil is tempting me. I have to say, Susan, I am tempted, but I have resisted so far. I have resisted. Lisa says, "Oh, I made a decision about the knitting needles. I'm actually not going to purchase them right now anyway. I have the needles I will need for the foreseeable future. When I need them, I'll do it." Oh, that is impressive. I would probably just have ended up being like, if I can't buy yarn, I can buy needles. Wow, I am well done on the decision making there. Indeed, Rev, as Rev says, we all peer pressured you. We tried to pressure her into getting them. Maybe that's what made her not getting them. That's also a possibility, right? I know. Look how strong I am. I did not give in, and I'm pretending to be the responsible adult that I am not. um, that sounds like me. You know, like I'm not buying yarn. I'm not buying yarn. I'm not buying yarn, but I really want to buy yarn. You know, as I said, there is lots of gorgeous yarns currently at Stanley where I'm like, oh my goodness, I need this. And they even just sent me a 10% voucher, even discount code. But the problem is, I will only get free shipping from them if I purchase for 199 euros of yarn. That is a crap ton of yarn that I do not currently need. So I will and I shall not buy yarn right now. I have more than enough. 2, 4, 6, 7. So, yeah, no, not. How much is shipping normally for you? Like 15 euros or something like that, I think they will charge me. I don't know. They said now we are going to make a basket and see how much they will charge me. I think it's like 12 or 15 euros, which is like at least a free cake. Like, of course, I'd do that. So Hobby would charge me, I think, 4 or 5 euros for shipping. Um, and then I would like what I did um, for the last one. I basically just got enough, which was like a couple of extra skeins to get the free shipping. And the skeins were on sale in any case, so I would have likely at some stage gotten them in any case. But I tend to not wanting to pay for shipping if I can get it for free. But the thing is, the yarn stores also, I guess, know this, so they will also intentionally, it's calculated into their prices, right? For example, on my website, I also changed the pricing for shipping. So we have like flat rates. But at a certain point, I will like decrease the flat rate if you buy higher priced items. 2, 4, 6, 7. No, Megan, it's not terrible, but it feels like a waste if you can get it for free. That's my problem, especially if they didn't have enough yarn I could get, which is on sale, and I'll figure out a project I could work up with it. That's what I did with a lot of my projects, and I didn't really specify it. I'm like, okay, I can make a shawl with this, or I can make that with it, or I can make that with it. I never really 100% specified the end goal of a specific yarn back when I bought it. That's the fun fact. I was just like saying, okay, it's gonna be a shawl, but I didn't say, oh, it's gonna be the Lapsang tea shawl, or it's gonna be the Dayiling shawl, or it's gonna be a virus shawl, or whatever. I never did that. I was just like, okay, that's enough for a shawl. Okay, I'll get it. In the sense of then it felt planned. There are some things I also had really specific plans with, like all of the drop yarns that I bought over the time had really clear specific plans for them. And I was actually even good enough to write some of them down. Some of them I still have leftovers from, which I can use for other things. But yeah. The fact that Mary Maxim almost never has free shipping, and when they do, they're always out of stock on the yarn I want they carry means that I have one fewer temptation. $20 for shipping. No, I don't think I will. No, that sounds pricey. But it is gotten more expensive to ship things. And I also think it will become, with this gearing current situation we have, again, please encourage the people in the Middle East to kind of speak together and agree on things sooner rather than later. Thank you. Mary Maxim's shipping is insane, and I think they use Amazon to fulfill their shipping. Well, Amazon Prime? Free shipping? Reminds me, there's coming a new book out that I want to get my hands on. We are slowly getting there. I think indeed we will reach to finish this row in this live. But as I said, we are very slowly currently at a place where it is getting more and more impossible to finish a row every time. That's insane. Lisa says, if I do FedEx delivery on Pleta, it costs me 33 euros. Shopping your stash is no shipping cost or time. Well, indeed, we do have delivery time, but you know, shopping at the yarn store can also give free shipping when you purchase enough yarn. But shopping my stash is definitely currently a bigger priority. Reminds me of a few things I have on my to-do list still. And I still have projects we need to make, so I don't necessarily desperately need, but I mean, shopping at the Michaels, I can see from my house, is also no shipping or time. Well, technically, you do spend time going there, but Delivery time as in with shipping you do not have. Nope. Lisa says, I'm only planning on buying yarn for the grandbaby. I think that deserves a bit of a yarn haul. Of course it does. It's sort of a sweet reward, right? Mhm. Rev said, I did grab a couple of skeins of blue and red last night when I was getting my wife her birthday gifts, but that is for the current projects. Oh my goodness. I feel like, yeah, I really have itchy fingers, but I don't need. I don't need. I don't need. I don't need. It's just because then I get an idea, but I don't fully execute it right now. I execute 95% of the idea. The last 5% is like left hanging right now. I need to get better at that. So. Oh, my Rev, you are tempted when looking outside. Yes, I guess he's a daily tempted then, almost. Long as the yarn haul is less than 10 times the weight of said grandbaby, we will allow it. Meanwhile, indeed, Rev has been using up lots of skeins of yarn. You're a crazy yarn consumer. Genuinely crazy what you crack out. That's just, I'm not gonna, I can't repeat that. I have too many things I do next to craft and crochet in my life. I just can't remotely fathom doing that. Indeed, you are using the yarn, that is for sure. Last grandbaby was over 9 pounds. I don't think 10 times. There you go, free reign for all. 89 lips of yarn. My goodness. 89 pounds of yarn. That's a lot. 2, 4, 6. God gracious, that's crazy. Yeah, maybe your husband wouldn't like that either. I'm not really sure if I would get that many kilos of yarn. Well, I'm sort of getting there, right? My current stashed rubber yarn lays at 42 kilos, which is like what, 84 pounds ish. Just assuming it's like half. And I'm not done. There gets more. We get more added. I can play devil's advocate. That's a nice offer. Quite genuine. Guys, we are heading into the last home stretch of this row. That means that I can do row 43 next, and just not during this live. This should be 14. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Oh, sweet. The stitch count was matching up. Which again means that previous row must have been good. so far. Done on this row. We have one more row complete. Awesome. It is on the other side. So we have 10 minutes left. So what I think I'm gonna do is, to prevent moving things too much back and forth, I'll grab my knitting project. We'll knit, maybe we'll reach 2 rows, and then I'll show you the final progress of this when we're doing the goodbyes and stuff like that. I think that is a good plan. I mean, he might end up getting a new truck or something, but you get your yarn, so everybody's happy. I think it's his employee that's getting the new truck, right? Did his conversation go well, Lisa, by the way, Monday? How did the meeting go? No, 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 no. Ooh, that was close. I almost lost a cake of yarn to the floor. That would not have been good. So this is where we are at. As you can see, I had a bit of leftovers when I started on the teal. The orange was always, I think, a little bit smaller than the teal. I only had half a cake of the blue left. And we are about lengthwise, I think we are around 5.5 or so each inches. How do you think the colors are working up in the end? I think they're going decent. I think this is not bad. Like, it's not bad. Let's see. We are at almost 7 inches. So we are more than halfway. Hallelujah. Lisa says, I hope they're actually finding out the gender before the Premier's summer sale. I want to get at least one blanket quantity of cotton sprout as well. Right. Yeah, because there's lots of things to do when you have a deadline, a baby deadline. He's finishing out 2 weeks as his current job, and then he's coming to work for you guys. Oh, that's awesome news. Congrats on that. Meanwhile, Megan is saying, when do they actually have their big sale? That's a good question. Maybe Lisa knows, or maybe she doesn't know, but she knows it's in the summer, and she knows they might have more information on the gender in the summer. And Rev says the colors are nice. Thank you. I think they have worked up a lot nicer. Like, I like them here together a lot more than when I just look at the 3 cakes here together. So Hobby just got a new truck last fall. He doesn't need a new truck, lol. It doesn't even have 20,000 miles on it yet. Well, it goes quickly as a contractor, doesn't it? Meanwhile, Lisa says, Megan, the sale for Premier Summer Sale is usually in July-ish. So sometime during July. I'm not even sure if Premier Yarns' website I can physically visit, but then we are back to, for me to get from Premier Yarns, it's a US site. It will incur a heavy shipping fee, plus then afterwards, I'll have to pay import tax and everything, and then woohoo. So it is awfully tempting, but I am doing my utterly best to not be tempted. Like I've really also often regularly been scavenging Lion Brand, but reality is also Lion Brand. I think I need their 30% discount sales, and then I would be equaling me paying full price when it comes with shipping and import tax and everything on top. Meanwhile, Rev says, Lisa, I'm sure I can find out what he desires. And Lisa says he desires a 3rd gen fully restored Camaro. Good luck. Rose says, I can horse trade a lot of yarn for that. Oh my goodness. We just need a new car sometime within the next, I guess, 9 months. Or a decision on what car. Because if we get it after New Year's, then because my partner drives in a company car, and after in the New Year's, there is a requirement it has to be electric. But the problem is driving on a full electric car to Denmark, it's gonna require us to charge an awful lot. So we do get more limited as to some things compared to what we have right now. I'd like to have a plug-in, so a hybrid version that does both. That would be the ideal world. So it's like maybe having 100-kilometer range, or maybe a bit more than 100-kilometer range electric, and then the rest goes as a regular fuel. Or his other desire is for time to drive his motorcycle. That is harder to make happen. Well, maybe with his new employee, he gets a little bit extra free time. Because he was going to be a foreman, right? So, hey, maybe. Or your nephew needs to learn quicker. Lisa says I tried making that the law here. It doesn't work with Canadian winters, so it didn't go well. Yeah, no, because the electric cars or electric batteries perform worse in winter, right? I think hybrid would probably be the most ideal for us right now. And by the way, the amount of ends I have here is just because I think really this is indeed millions, because the amount of nuts, factory nuts here and there, has been insane. So yeah. In short, I have ends to weave in once this one is done. And it's looking good, everything given. So that's positive. They tried making it so all the construction equipment and everything was supposed to be electric. That was possibly one of the stupidest thing ever. Yeah, though that's not gonna work. And I also don't think making everything electric, it puts an insanely higher demand on electric, where you get the electric power from. It puts an insane demand on the electrical network. Everything has its pros and cons, right? I think it's indeed good if things can be partialized more electric. That's probably about it. Goody. We are now at 5 p.m. Central European Time, and we're ready to do a row and a half approximately on this. As I said, I really think this works up much nicer than comparing just to looking at the colors like this. That looks nicer, I think, personally. We'll have to see how much yarn I have left, but I won't get more out of the blue, so that's just going to go into my pile. These two, I don't know how much. There's definitely another hat in the teal, but I don't have any more of this yarn, so it's probably going to go temp into my scrap stash of acrylics until I figure out what's next. But this is how we are looking so far. Goody goody. Let's pop over here and go back up to my pretty face. As I said, gorgeous colors. I really like them together. It's a lot better than I had dared hoping. And I need to flip over. Electric vehicle is nothing more than a transition. They cannot escape the battery problem. Yep, exactly. For us, electric production is fine. However, it would have a bigger impact on the northern states. Our province sells 90% of the electricity we make to the states. We have a ton of hydroelectric dams. Oh, yeah. Well, in the Netherlands, I guess it's more windmills, so because it's a bit more of a flat country. We do have lots of water, but I don't see that being made hydro because the waterways are used for transporting goods, the Rhine, the Waal, etc., from the Netherlands to Germany and so on. As I said, we are really. I need to stand up, my friends. I think I need to stand up with this one. Even standing up, I can't get it all on the screen. Or I need to, I don't know, I need to pull my chair at the side. That's also a possibility, of course. Because I can get a bit further back. But still, that's my point. Like, we can barely be in screen. Ooh-hoo. And it's definitely ruffling up. I think it is working up very nicely. But there's also still a lot of work left. Lots of work left. I haven't even seen the new, just not seen the new color coming through in this cake, but we have a third cake we need to add as well, so plenty of things. But yeah, it's gonna be a huge show when I'm done. But yeah, it is a large one. Yeah, Lisa, it's going to be ginormous and huge. Yes, I know. I'm probably gonna make a second at some stage with some of the pleather yarns I have, but I think I'll aim for the medium size, not the large size. I know this is intentionally the large one. And Megan says it's looking great. Thank you, Megan. And Rose says a pretty one. Well, ladies, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time, next Monday? ? Yes, the plan is. No, wait a second. Coming Monday, I am not. Coming Monday, we have a Sort My Stash series. Next week, it's gonna be a Wednesday. It's gonna be a week to the next live. Because real life obligations and stuff like that. I was live this Monday, which means next Monday I'm not live. We are kind of back into the 2-week. So every second Monday I'm live, which alternates with the Fridays when I do my yarn talks. And I just need a little bit more time for myself and not be live all the time because it does limit the time frame I have. So I'll be here Wednesday. I'm looking forward to craft with you guys on Wednesday. So until then, I'm going to say thank you so much for watching. Take care. Happy crafting. And I will see you live next Wednesday. And I'll definitely see you in another video because we have a yarn talk a yarn talk on Friday, going through all my projects and makes and everything. And of course, on Monday we have another Sort My Stash series, and look out for it. It is hand-dyed hank time. The few I have, I don't have a lot of them, but I definitely have some of them, and some of them are also Stanley yarns in between. So Gazelle and Stanley is mainly in that box. Looking forward to share those with you guys. And then, of course, we're live Wednesday again next week. Take care, and if I don't see you before then, see you Wednesday. Love you all. Bye.